pretty nice, huh? Hello? Hey, that fixed it. Actually, it was okay.
All right, do we have audio? Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. From the top. Hi, welcome. I'm going to do the intro as fast as possible. Welcome, Sips and Software.
There we go.
Sips and Software, episode 100. Used to be another show. Now we're this show. First time on Twitch. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, wherever podcasts are found. My name is Patrick.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Asher.
And despite what you think you just heard, we do know what the fuck we're talking about.
Yep.
Don't forget, we also fixed the audio. So,
Yeah,
Chase,
that's what we do.
our producer, thank you for fixing that.
Good job, Chase.
Chase, he is restocking the SIPS part of the software.
So
And-
on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, we'll be live on
Sips and Software.
Sips and
Software. Shortly after
Sips and Software.
We always play HQ Trivia right before going live. So.
Every Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time.
Also, add us on HQ Trivia. You can see us most times actually choose our terrible answers and lose.
That's true. That's true.
You know?
So, this week's show is kind of a hodgepodge of weekly events.
Yeah.
weekly
We love to
news
talk
stories.
about technology and we love to drink beer. Mm-hmm.
They kind of work better together, too.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I just get way too angry. I'm doing the old man thing where I hate every news story. But, there is some good stuff out there. Okay, so let's start from the top
Start
here.
from the very top.
The first a good one.
First, a good
iOS 11.4 comes out.
Thank God.
iOS 11.4.
Thank God. Been waiting for this one. Been waiting for it all day.
Me too.
11.4. The point 4 is clearly the best of all the 11s.
It's seeming to be. The update rolled out to all iPhones out there, and it does one major thing, and that is...
iMessage back up to iCloud. It's about freaking time, man.
I mean, why would it back up your Safari history and not your messages? Who is that devastated that they don't have their Safari history? And, that doesn't make any sense what they... They back up your news history, your news browsing history. Nobody needs that. Everybody just wants the normal daily news. They don't need their news history. That's crazy.
What? Excuse me, now Google needs to actually implement something like this. This is a feature that Apple leads Google with. Why is there no, Wi-Fi texting and text message backup on Android? Why doesn't that exist?
Because iMessage isn't text message, and if you use Google Hangouts, it automatically did it. It automatically was always stored in the cloud.
Yeah,
right?
but nobody liked Google.
Hangouts was the equivalent of iCloud because you had to use your email with it.
You had to use your email. You had to be logged into a Google account. All your stuff was always backed up there. Your contacts were automatically backed up and everything. iCloud is good enough. It's never been good though.
No. I mean, it mitigates the damage of losing some things. You have your contacts, but you've always. I mean, it's 2018. You kind of expected that. I mean, what I'm saying is this update is not life-changing, but it is going to help a lot of people out now that always wanted their message history. Although I will say one thing, it's only iMessage. It's not SMS message history. So if you're texting somebody and it's a blue bubble, not a green bubble on an iPhone.
Well, as an iPhone and Apple purist, I could say that we look down upon the green bubble people and refuse to have conversations with them. So
there seems to be a consensus in our live studio audience.
Yeah. Do you ever feel pressure to go back to the ecosystem now that you've joined the Android world?
No, I here's the thing. It's easy to sync them You sync both of them up at all times, and as long as you sync your photos up on both of them, then there's no big deal. I mean, I could go to an iPhone right now and it would
hate your life a little
let me
bit.
ask you,
It was just boring.
Did you find it easier to video call me before when you had an iPhone, or now that you have an Android?
It's way harder to video call people. It's way harder. It's very
Android,
frustrating.
Get on your shit.
It's very frustrating because I implemented a
video call
only policy
yeah.
with my friends,
yeah.
And now
I'm
I'm.
obnoxious for someone like me who doesn't like talking on the phone at all.
You must answer even in the shower, and I do sometimes. But yeah, it is a lot. I mean, the things that Apple does, it does way better. Like even a calculator on an iPhone works better. Like swiping from the bottom.
How quick is it to get to your calculator?
Right. The Apple TV remote works better on the iPhone than the Chrome app works on Google Home. You know what I'm saying? So the Google Chrome app is supposed to be super easy to use, and it's not. You have to have a remote, whereas the iPhone works much more seamlessly with the Apple TV.
I will give Apple the hand in iOS being a good ecosystem and a good software, but the phones themselves haven't been able to compete with what Samsung's been doing until just recently.
This is Skype versus FaceTime? Skype just really recently updated.
Skype is horrible though.
Whoa.
What's going on? No.
My mic is.
So it's just Ashley. Let's give it a test.
Checking. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Allow the app to access your contacts and you're ready to go. Now there's nothing much to set up for Google Duo since it is very straightforward. Now just click on
yours is working now. I could hear you, Ashley. We need to close this video.
Now there's one thing you should toggle on in your settings.
That was just that
which
video
is the
playing.
knock function. Now
Causing a loop.
So it's just my left foot.
Anyway.
Okay, so it backs it up. What I'm saying is, it's just something that should have been there in the first place. It looks really good. And thank God it's in there now.
Yours is working.
That's a really good story. So a good thing that Apple has done in the most recent time. I mean, why would you ever? It blew my mind when I found out they backed up your news feed. Why?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. This kind of rings a bell, and like for the gaming news, like everybody was wondering why Nintendo didn't integrate cloud saves for your games on the Switch, when every other modern gaming hardware, Steam, Xbox, PS4, will back up your game saves. So if something happens, you can continue playing your game. And there was this huge flaw in a lot of Nintendo Switches that people had to send it off to Nintendo and get it fixed, and then boom, all their game saves were gone. No saves. And now with the paid online service finally coming to Nintendo Switch, they're integrating cloud backups for your game saves only if you pay for that service. So imagine if Apple was like, yeah, we'll back up your stuff if you pay extra. I mean, there's iCloud.
So Apple kind of does that. They give you 5 gigabytes free, but now 5 gigabytes doesn't really do anything.
Right, true.
So it's essentially useless. So I kind of see what you're saying. Google's definitely the best with
5
free.
gigabytes is nothing now. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I mean, Apple gives you 5 gigabytes of iCloud storage. He's saying it's and I see the point. It's kind of crap that The only way you can use cloud backup on a Nintendo Switch
Yeah.
is to use the paid service.
Especially when Xbox and PlayStation offer cloud saves and for free.
But
Right.
but what I'm saying is Apple kind of does the same thing because
I guess you could technically only back up your text messages to iCloud, and that'd be totally fine. That would totally fit.
right, yeah, I mean mainly 5 gigabytes doesn't work when you're trying to do any photos. It'll do everything else. It'll do your contacts. Now iMessages, I don't know. I mean, we fix iPhones and
They'll have
some of the
gigs of
iMessage
conversations.
history.
Yeah, that's true.
And with sending full text attachments, 4K attachments.
Quick tip, by the way, if you're running out of storage on your phone, a lot of people don't think to delete their text messages.
When you think of Sips and Software, think of just the tip.
Just for a second, and just to see how it feels.
Right, and now we feel better with that tip. I do. Chase.
I feel pretty good about it, actually.
Okay. That's a
Other
good
pro
start.
tip: spend $1,000 on an iPhone 8 and get a 256 gig memory. You'll never have to worry about it.
That's true. Did you see the news story about the Note 9 possibly having 512?
512?
Balls.
Let's see that. 512 is huge. Speaking of other stories that we don't actually have in our story list, did you see that Apple's most likely doing 3 versions of the iPhone 10 this year? That same size one, then a plus size and a small size? Did you see that story?
I saw
Yeah.
that story, and it's interesting.
Okay,
Like,
so
it seems,
it said there was going to be a 6.5-inch iPhone.
That is
Right.
huge.
Chase, you have big hands. 6.5 inches. So was that?
this is an iPhone
That-
8
if
Plus.
if it's an
So if
o-
you went diagonal to diagonal though,
I think it's
with
5.9
so it would be a bigger footprint than that.
than this,
Yeah.
and this is huge.
if it's an
Imagine
AMOLED,
the battery,
if it's an
though.
AMOLED display, that might get me back into the Apple ecosystem. Just saying.
Yeah, and with the
Because-
Pixel 3 looking like it's going to have a notch.
Right? Pixel 3 is going to have a notch. All the iPhones are going to have notches. The freaking the damn One Plus has a notch. One Plus went notch.
And you know what they were saying about that? They were like, "Well, you can turn it off." Well, what does that mean? Oh, you could make it so it's just a black bar, and I'm like,
Right. yeah.
what? That's like the equivalent of them at a movie theater saying, "Well, yeah, just squint your eye. We bought the full screen version, not the widescreen. Just squint your eyes."
I never thought I'd find myself defending the notch, but the notch is the way that you can
What the
get.
fuck is happening right now?
The notch is the way you can get edge-to-edge display
Edge
right
to edge display
now.
right now.
Because they don't have a way to hide a front cam or hide the proximity
Is the
sensor.
notch ugly?
Yes, it
It
looks
is.
like a bunny.
But would you,
You can't look at an iPhone 10 and not picture a
But
bunny.
would you rather have just the black bar or the notch? Like that's the only
The
option
bezel
right
is not
now.
that big of a deal.
I don't know. It's a tough question.
Chase, I just linked a story to the messenger. Will you click on that and put that headline behind it?
Anybody been in Twitch chat?
Yep.
No, just sitting here. Cool.
I'll leave your stream open. Good luck.
Hey, we're at 5 viewers now. That's cool.
Hey, 5
Yay.
viewers. Hey.
Hey.
Okay, so
So look what I just sent you.
you just sent me something.
This is from 2 hours ago. It's confirming a bunch of things, plus saying there's going to be a fourth, even more.
Oh, new iPhone leak. Okay, but put the thing I just put on there first. Continued article. Obviously, my stuff is better. What? I mean, don't think your story's not
Welcome
better.
to Simpson Software, where we don't have advertisers, we don't have any promos to push, so we have no breaks built into this show.
Right.
We're just going straight. We have no
So,
agenda.
Asher, will you please read this headline for me?
It says Lenovo VP claims the Z5 has 0 bezels, 4 terabytes of storage, 45 days standby time. 45 days?
What? Did you read that right?
Is this on the Onion?
No, this is a real story.
Z5 has 0 bezels,
Impossible.
4 terabytes of storage.
For the last
Impossible.
For the past couple of weeks, Lenovo VP Cheng Chen has been building up a lot of hype around the company's upcoming flagship smartphone. The Lenovo Z5 teasers rolled out in abundance, and the smartphone is expected to come with premium features that may have never been seen on a smartphone. Now the company has finally confirmed that it's hosting an event in Beijing on June 5th, where it will launch the Z5 in all its glory. Early teasers of the Z5 will sport a fully bezel-less display with no notch at the top or bottom.
No front camera either.
House all the sensors. And a very recent teaser claims this phone is going to have 45 days of standby time. Okay, along with 4 terabytes of storage,
Insane.
is this the phone you would buy?
If it was real, yeah. Absolutely. It's a joke, though. It's got to be a joke.
It's not.
Who says it's a joke? Like, why can't we have 4 terabytes? We can have a 1 terabyte
Okay.
flash card out of nothing, right?
Do you know how much that'll cost, though, to have 4 terabytes in store? I mean, yeah, okay, sure, the product could exist, but there's no way that could exist to the mass market. 4 terabytes of SSD storage, that's like
That is a,
$2,000.
yeah, it's a lot. It is
Okay,
a lot.
Chase,
Yeah.
always,
You're
Chase
right.
always gives me shit about fake news. Does this article seem legit?
No.
I don't know if the...
So I grabbed it and did a search here, and there's a ton of headlines that are claiming the same thing.
So it's got to be legit.
So, like, the guy's story seems to be that he's purporting seems to be true. I'm not saying the phone exists,
He's a VP at Lenovo.
but that's a bold claim, man.
So,
Okay, so I saw this on Google News, by the way, Google News Hub.
Jump out the window, but he's a
I, s-
VP at Lenovo.
I saw this on Google News and I clicked on it, and the guy said this had the story. I can't remember exactly how he worded it. He was like, but it was the same thing I thought of. I'm still working on. I still want a phone to last 4 to 5 days, let alone 45 days.
We don't have those
Hey, I would be
gravity
happy with a
batteries.
1 day. I would be happy with 10 hours of screen on time.
Right. If you knew that your phone lasted a day and a half for sure, or 2 days for sure, so if you didn't plug your phone in, you would still be able to do it the next day. That's even the most reasonable. I'll even take that. That's a really acceptable answer. But 45 standby. 45 standby.
I'm still
That's
hung
got to
up
be
on
what,
the,
5
I'm
days
still
of
hung
screen
up on
on
the
that?
storage thing. That's the
4 terabytes.
Yeah. I mean, seriously. 4 terabytes.
4 terabytes.
Unless
It'd be
he
flash storage. It would be really fast flash storage.
If he could do it.
It'd be proprietary flash storage.
If he could do it, 45 terabytes in an affordable phone price, that would totally change the market for SSD pricing.
Do you think-
Because they would that would change how it all
Put it
works.
this way, okay. I want to know from your point of view, typical millennial. tech
You're a
guy.
millennial.
Yeah,
By
but
the way,
I'm not typical.
Motorola 1 also just leaked with a notch.
Yuck.
So,
Ick.
so.
Okay,
We are technically millennials, Kyle.
I know, but I'm not the typical millennial.
I'm not a typical millennial.
I support Donald
What a
Trump.
millennial thing to say.
Well, I'm
I was a millennial before it was
I was like,
Here's the
yeah.
thing. I'm like, it's somehow punk rock to be Republican, and I don't understand how that happened to be that way. So, but it just happened to be
Right,
now that
right.
Ask most punk rockers
Right,
if
right.
they were Republican.
They're
Preppy
anarchists.
kids
Anarchists are
with
the
khaki shorts and button-up shirts are now punk rock.
Asher,
That's where we're at.
Who is closer to an anarchist, a Republican or a Democrat? An anarchist is completely far right with no government. Then
Well, I'll
there's
tell you-
libertarian. Then there's Republican.
Well, I mean,
Let's circle
Anyways,
back
okay,
to the topic.
so we got this phone that claims to last
Yeah.
45 days with a bezel-less display and have all the sensors in here.
if it were true, would you buy it, Patrick?
If it was affordable, absolutely.
So my question was, remember how the Razr phone looked amazing?
Yes.
But not that many people actually bought it.
Well, yeah, it was super expensive.
The One Plus is amazing.
Yes.
Not that many people buy it.
Well,
But that was very
those-
cheap.
Is this
those
different? Would this be like, oh my God, there's another Apple? Like,
No,
you
no.
think you would get like?
Samsung and Apple control the smartphone market. and
Yeah,
they will
I think
for-
Patrick's exactly right. The display is not going to be good.
No. What if this is exactly as this guy purports?
No, because it's Lenovo.
Exactly. No, seriously.
I mean, yeah, it's like look at a Kia nowadays.
it's
Kia
pure-
cars are amazing. They have all the technology. They're good. They're safe. They run good. They have good gas mileage. But it's still a fucking Kia. Kia. Too bad it's a Kia. That's the tagline.
Kia, my only complaint is a Kia.
Right. Lenovo. I don't work at a multinational corporation who's saving money on laptops.
Right. Lenovo, they make smartphones too. That was
Yeah.
like
So-
that's the tagline.
Maybe
Us too.
Yeah,
Look at
so
us.
this could be a
Is this a
revolution.
new Me Too movement?
No, this could be a revolutionary phone, and it's not going to take off. At least not in its first iteration. A phone never takes off in its first generation,
Right.
except for the iPhone.
Well, if I can speak for anybody, I can speak for Chase, and I can say that he
That's
thinks it's going to be a game changer.
He just wet himself thinking about it.
He did. It was phenomenal. Okay. Other phone news today. Other phone news this week.
How about the mobile
Still-
games?
still using Google News, by the way. Like that
It's
app.
good. It's super good.
It's super good.
Yeah.
Oh, do the iPhone leak. Yeah. We actually didn't put that up behind us, right?
The iPhone leaks?
The
Well,
newest one
we
that just
haven't-
went-
Yeah, no, we haven't thrown that one in.
But
yet.
yes, Google News, if you didn't catch any of our previous shows, there's a new app out there that's basically Apple News. It's the Apple News equivalent, but it's Google News, and it works phenomenal. It works so much better than,
Yeah.
like, it makes so much sense. It puts topics
Uh-huh.
there, and then you can choose the news source you want from them.
Yeah, so
And-
it curates to you. It learns from you. Learns what you like, what you don't like. But, also,
it's still not sending you like these off stories that don't make any sense. It's still all credited.
I
news
subscribe to
sources.
$200 worth of things a month because of that now.
yeah. Do you have?
Wall Street Journal, Men's Health, Playboy.
Hims.com.
Let me ask you this: have you
Yeah.
gotten any annoying
Don't meet
news
me there,
alert
meet me
headlines
there.
from Google News? Have you gotten any annoying news alert headlines?
From Fox News. I don't know why it tries to give me
there's-
Fox News sometimes.
Really?
but
It's been throwing notifications at you?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
maybe
usually-
maybe I didn't accept notifications. But
usually it's still to a story that I'm interested in. So that like it's
Interesting.
weird. Yeah, like
It probably uses SSD.
half the
probably
time
uses
it's like I'm
search.
looking for a story that I like briefly heard about. I'm like, I need information, and I see it's on Fox News.
Need
I'm like, oh,
input.
fuck it, okay.
Input. Johnny Five. Have you seen that movie?
Jennifer.
I'm
You were
addicted.
on
I'm
you
addicted to
alive
the
in the
news,
80s?
ladies and gentlemen. So what's this?
Okay, so this is the new radical leak of the iPhone that has come out
What
recently.
we got? What we got?
We got
This is from an hour ago. What he's saying is there's not only going to be 3 iPhones coming out, there's
Right.
going to be a fourth, and there's going to be an LED model of the iPhone 10 coming out this year, along with the SE in the OLED model, and that's along with the two big.
So they're making a cheaper version of the 10 as well as the high end.
Talking
Okay.
to Bloomberg, Mark Gruen, one of the industry's most respected analysts, that was this corrective story by the Enterprise from Apple is indeed making a radical low-cost version
This
of
is
the iPhone X for this year.
this is probably riveting for our audience who can't hear a word that Chase is saying right now. But
They could
basically,
probably-
he's saying that there was a lower priced iPhone LED model that should launch this year with the iPhone SE.
They found a way to make the screen cheaper, which is
Why not get rid of the iPhone SE
Well,
and have a smaller
because
LED
Steve
version?
Jobs was right, and everybody wants a phone that fits that size.
that's why that small version of the 10 is going to
Yeah, but why not make a smaller iPhone 10 size or iPhone 10 design in the same footprint of an iPhone SE?
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is.
That's what we're talking
It's-
about, right?
yeah,
So
it's-
why keep the SE going?
They
That's
won't.
what it's
I
going to
doubt
be.
they will.
It's going to probably be called the SE2 or SE10 or something.
This
The
is
SEX.
SE.
They matched Tesla's. Elon. They got Elon Musk's
great.
secret hidden message.
Wow. I don't know. I think Apple's killing it. This is a really cool design that I'm definitely interested in. I mean, I liked the 10. I'm not a huge fan of how it changed with the swiping gestures being everything, but
Yeah,
It's
gestures
a
suck,
way
but-
nicer phone than the Pixel 3. I mean, or the Pixel 2. I had the Pixel 2. I like my phone. I really do. But
Did you say that? What? Really?
but it feels like a more expensive phone. The fact that you can get both for $1,000.
Okay, okay.
What I'm saying is,
Okay.
the iPhone Pixel 2 XL was fully loaded.
Yeah.
Was $995. The iPhone 10 256 fully loaded, I think, was $1,295. So I'm rounding down, but I'm calling them both $1,000 phones. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's a shitload of money anyway.
I mean, that's where we're at. We're at
I'm like,
$1,000 phone
so
prices
if you put
now.
two things blindly in my hand, and I'm like, which one is more expensive, or which one is a better $1,000? I mean, immediately the iPhone 10 is like, oh wow. I mean, it just feels, it looks like a nicer device. It just feels like a better phone. Whereas mine is really light.
got
Here
one.
you go. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here. Oh, it's on the bottom. Oh yeah.
I mean, so Google Pixel 2
Yeah.
XL, which
Here, you're missing out. If you don't have the stainless steel feel, that makes a huge
that
difference.
is like, and honestly, the glass back on
Look
it
at the back.
feels
If you were selling
good.
jewelry, which one would be easier to sell? Come on. That's what I'm saying. I
okay,
bought both,
okay.
so I spent $1,000, and I'm saying this one felt like a better $1,000 than
This one has an orange button though.
That's true. I like my Panda phone. It's a tuxedo, and it's classy, and I like it for actually being different. Yes.
This phone does feel amazing,
It does.
But yeah.
and
Just the idea that they're making.
the truth is that when
I
the screen
know.
real estate. All right, so the screen real estate on that.
No, I don't even need to compare it to yours. I compare it to mine, and I'm like,
Busted ass.
The screen real estate of the iPhone 10 versus my iPhone 8. There is a little bit more screen,
Right, that's
but
crazy.
the feel of it
and
feels so
that's
much
why
better.
I'm so intrigued. If they're making a bigger size,
Like it
if
fits that
Apple,
hand
if Apple's
good.
making a bigger size of that phone, like this size, it's gonna be hard to talk me out of that one.
You don't need, honestly, you don't need a smaller phone. You don't really need a smaller phone than
That's
this.
one-handed
Like,
texting perfect.
this is good.
For me.
This is a good
That's
size.
when
This
I use that
feels like
phone.
my iPhone
So
6
let's
does.
One
let's
time-
stop jerking off over the iPhone 10 here. We've all
Okay.
had our little circle
All
jerk.
Would you? Who buys the gigantic one?
Me.
Everybody, right?
People who either have big hands or people who use their phones for
But it's
watching.
gonna-
Or want a big what?
But
They want a
isn't
big
that
watch
the-
battery.
videos
what I'm
and
saying
stuff like
is
that
it
all the
what
time.
it's the phenomenon where people always buy the biggest one no matter what.
Not always, because
Like everybody wanted the Pixel XL always over the.
There are people
the
who
demand
prefer
was
the
always
smallest.
more.
There
No.
are some people who prefer it smaller.
Thank you, Mr. Democrat on the panel. There is a 10% people out there. Yes, thank you. The 1% should pay more.
Here, another
right?
thing. Jesus.
Let me throw this in real quick. Can you hold your thought? One second. I did not upgrade to. I had I had a Nexus 5. And
Nexus,
I love my
hardly
Nexus
even know
5.
us.
So when it came time to update, when it came time to update my phone, the Nexus 6 came out, right? You remember the Nexus 6 didn't have a smaller
You
option.
came to a Nexus
It went
with
to
the
a
Nexus?
6-inch
A
screen
thought
size.
Nexus.
So my choice was Nexus 6, which I looked at, I played with, I held for a while, and I went, I hate this big phone. And I went to iPhone.
He's a part of. It's him, not me.
You became.
I went to iPhone 6 because
It
it had a
fit your
small, it fit in my hand better.
But now you're.
But
in
now
a
I have an
plus.
8 Plus, and now that I've had this for a while, I love it, and
I'll tell you what.
I would never go
I'll
back.
I'll tell you what would bring me back to an Apple environment. You want to know?
Yeah,
A
let me see.
touchscreen.
A touchscreen Mac.
It's a phone.
A touchscreen Mac.
Oh, yeah.
This is everybody I went to a meeting recently, and every person had a Mac. And when I was able to just do this and touchscreen my computer, everybody was all like, "Oh, I wish I could do that." Because that's like how you do things now. Like it's
Yeah.
way easier to like when I get to something, it's just easier. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
when you want to do things, that would bring me back. If they made, it would basically be the iPad Pro or whatever, but it would have to be. It would be. I mean, because feel how light this thing is.
Razor blade.
This
For
is-
our,
this
for
is
our
also
audio
rough.
listeners, we've got a razor blade stealth on the desk here.
But that kind of brings me to what I'm probably going to end up doing if I ever sell this is I want a Pixel book, because I think what I'm reading now is that Windows is going to become completely obsolete in the next few years because of Subsystem 32. It's not to get too technical, but it's just basically they keep the framework of Windows was made in the early 1990s, and they can't build it out anymore.
You know who the only people who actually cling to Windows anymore, like, and say there's no better alternative?
The government.
Gamers. Because
Gamers.
none of our shit works on anything else, and like if it did, we'd probably be off Windows in a heartbeat.
Well, right. That's
Well,
what they're
the-
saying, that the new Chromebooks with the ARM architecture is going to run Steam natively. Anything you can download as an app or a program, you're going to be able to natively run. They won't need the subsystem of Windows to work. It'll just work as an app. You can anything. You can
Yeah.
work.
So that Windows.
I mean, if I could have a Chromebook, those Pixel books are awesome. Where can we get that cleaned up at? Who do we buy chemicals from? The SIPs part of software.
Should you spill beer?
SIP spills and software.
Sip spills and software. Head on down to KB Commercial Products.
Or give Kyle a brush and some glass
Or
cleaner.
brush and glass cleaner. That's good.
People laugh at me with different cleaning chemicals. You mix enough things together and stuff will come clean. Okay,
Speaking
so
of coming clean.
so we decided. Yes, so we decided that okay, they're making all these.
I
Asher,
never thought I'd be excited about an iPhone, man. That's
what's the price point gonna be for the top end iPhone?
For the top end iPhone, I mean, it's gonna
I want to max
fully
out
loaded,
my card. I
fully
want
loaded,
to max out my card.
fully loaded
Yes.
top end iPhone. It's
Yes, custom engraving.
It's gonna be $1,500, man. It's gonna be $1,500.
I think so.
I mean, they're gonna claim how
512.
the screen prices went down and all of that.
512?
Yeah, I could easily see 512.
512 memory gigabytes.
999 gigabytes.
Ooh.
You're gonna need more. You're gonna
I bet
need
they do
more
something
for.
goofy like that. I bet they do. What if they did 1 terabyte, 6.1 inch OLED display, and it was basically you could turn it sideways and type full, like it would be.
How much 4K video can you put on a 1 terabyte hard drive?
An hour.
They're gonna need it, right?
Yeah, it's probably more than an hour, but yeah.
What if they? Yeah, that could be interesting. Nah, they'll underwhelm. I think they will. But
Well-
if they can mitigate the notch, I think it'll be funny if everybody copies them and then
Hey,
the next
Siri.
one they don't have a notch.
Hey Siri,
Okay.
how much 4K video can you put on 1 terabyte?
1 terabyte.
Okay, I found something on the web for how much 4K video can you put on 1 terabyte.
Take a look.
So all she
That
all
was
she
pretty
did
quick between Google and Siri.
Yeah, but all
And
Siri
neither
did
one
was
of
give
them
me a
answered.
website. Did you go to Quora?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did that too. So for 8 terabytes,
We got
121
3
minutes.
watchers.
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway.
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Anyway.
So
What else are we talking about today?
Inconclusive.
inconclusive. So the point is, actually, good phone news this week come out.
Yeah.
Like that's nice because usually it's shitty news about shitty things and shitty phones.
Phone news has been terrible.
I will
Speaking
say,
of shitty things.
Speaking of shitty things, the resident gamer over here. Speaking of which, do you have anything to plug? Let's do a shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Capitalism plug.
Geeks of Azeroth, which this show is currently being hosted on that Twitch as well.
Yes. Are we helping you become verified?
Helping, yeah.
All
I
right.
think so. But yeah, Geeks of Azeroth live every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock MST. We talk about everything Blizzard gaming related and just pretty much games in general. We play video games. We talk about them. It's fun. Also on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts.
Podcast available.
Yeah.
Podcastable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
Speaking
the new
of gaming
big,
news.
big gaming news.
Speaking of gaming news.
Have you ever played
Spanking,
the game?
spanking of
Speaking of gaming
You,
news.
you ever played
PUBG.
PUBG?
PUBG is this
PUBG.
amazing sandbox type world.
And Fortnite is better.
Oh, Fortnite's better. Oh, that's
Lines have
interesting.
been drawn.
That's interesting.
You know who plays PUBG?
Our producer, Chase.
I won't say
Non-millennials.
who, but I'm just saying.
Non-millennials.
Non-millennials,
They're-
millennials, Generation X. Yep. I
Gen
have
Xers.
PUBG on my phone too because that's the only one available. Fortnite's only on iPhone.
Oh, is that true?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That is true.
I'm
That's
sorry.
interesting.
iPhone?
Does it actually work worth the crap? No.
I've never been
can't
a mobile
imagine.
gamer. I can't even imagine playing. I can't imagine playing a first-person shooter on a mobile
No,
game. I've tried. It's garbage. It's garbage. You freaking people who play Fortnite or PUBG
See,
on mobile phones.
what's
you're
funny about-
freaking masochists. Okay.
What's funny about Fortnite,
Yes.
what they've done with Fortnite is they mix everybody who plays Fortnite together.
That is funny.
Whether you're on console or phone or PC,
Oh,
you'll
wait,
all
what?
just be in the same game.
So is it? Okay, so
I can
what
run up to someone on my computer and see that they're on their phone because they're aiming at the sky and have no idea what they're doing. And it's kind of imbalanced a little bit.
I think that's how it should be.
We got our resident producer's PUBG account going here.
Why doesn't he just mirror it on there? We got the We got the reflector.
We
We
don't.
do got the reflect.
You,
but we're
you
not
know how
quite
many
sure.
tech
We're not
difficulties
quite
we're
sure
having
for it,
tonight? I wouldn't trust it.
Okay, so they're both basically the same game, right?
No.
They're exact copies of each other?
No.
Wait
They're-
a minute. You said they were the same game.
They're
Go
the-
back to tape.
They're the same genre, but PUBG is
What's the genre?
Battle Royale. And
Battle
PUBG
Royale.
is trying to claim that it can be the only game in that genre with a new lawsuit.
Did they invent it?
No. They popularized it.
Ooh,
Better
interesting.
way to say it.
Did Clash of Clans invent it?
No. A game called DayZ, this weird PC.
Oh, DayZ. Yeah,
had the
yeah.
first version of PUBG in it,
Interesting.
starting as a mod for H1 or for
So this game's become a phenomenon.
yeah.
Phenomenon.
So PUBG started
I get it.
with
It's a
millions of
fun
players.
game.
Fortnite took over, and now PUBG's jealous.
I mean, I get it. It's a fun game, but what possible reason can be won by suing them? That doesn't make any sense.
I think it's gonna hurt them more than it's gonna
yeah,
help.
like from a business standpoint, somebody did a cost-benefit analysis and said, you know what, we're going to make more money suing them than we are letting them off this way because they're going to settle for us for whatever. Like,
Very possibly.
that's crazy to me that that's allowed to even.
Producer has a chime in.
So you know why I play this game, don't you, PUBG?
Because you're a masochist?
Because we did a story on this a while back about the guy who put up that virus that said you had to play PUBG for 3 minutes.
right. You got that virus.
No, I didn't get the virus.
Yes,
we
you
talked about
did.
it on the store,
Yeah.
on the show. I downloaded the game and I've been playing ever since.
He got it on Grindr.
I really have.
You
I
got
thought
it.
that was pretty ingenious that he was going to make people play it, even though they really didn't have to. But so
So what's your review of it? What's the review?
I'm a daily player. I play for.
How long is it? Is it 20-minute matches?
If you survive to the end, you're in that 20 to 25-minute range. I'll get maybe 1, maybe 2 matches a day.
Have you won a game yet?
Oh yeah,
Really?
oh yeah,
You got your chicken dinner.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. No, I've.
You and a chicken dinner?
That's what it tells you winner chicken dinner every time you win PUBG.
That's clever.
Yeah.
Do you get XP to?
Yep. You can unlock clothes for your characters.
So is it really imbalanced with other people that have played it for a long time? Like how many people are in a battle royale?
100.
Yeah,
100?
it's 100. I usually do the squad one, so I usually
What's
do
that?
groups of 4.
That's where you can group up with 3 other people, so you're not totally alone.
Yeah. So you can go solo.
Sounds like communism.
So you can go solo, you can go duo, or you
How
can
low?
go squad. 1, 2, or 4. I like the squads. I like to sacrifice my squad.
So what's the
mate.
difference? What's the difference between these two games?
So
It's like saying Halo and GoldenEye are the same game.
it's actually like
Right?
comparing.
That's what it is?
I would compare it to like Halo versus Call of Duty.
You're saying that they're not the same game. You're saying that they're the same game, but they're not really the same game. You want to answer the phone?
So they're the same genre. It's 100 people free for all in this giant map, and you're just
Yeah.
trying to survive till the end. That's the goal of both of these games. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, PUBG, it makes itself look very realistic. Like it and there's
it tries to be a real game.
Only
High
militaristic weapons,
graphics.
like high quality graphics.
Call of Duty style.
Yeah, and Fortnite is obviously cartoony. It just tries to be as off the walls as possible. With lots of
Minecrafty.
color, Minecrafty.
Yeah, you,
And
like,
also
tear
in the
down
fact that
walls
yeah,
to, like, make
in
a-
Fortnite you have a pickaxe. That's what you start with, and you
Uh-huh.
can break down walls and then get materials and build. So they're totally.
What do you do
they're
in
actually
PUBG?
two
Yeah,
Like-
because isn't
completely different
Fortnite like
games.
kind of a crafting game too?
Yeah.
PUBG's not that, is it?
Right. No, PUBG is just purely a militaristic shooter. So yeah, while PUBG started the genre, Fortnite made its own game in the same genre, but PUBG is trying to argue with a lawsuit that Fortnite's just copying it.
Right. So
can you copy
Am I right in understanding it would be like
It'd be
Call
like-
of Duty suing Halo?
No,
or
it'd be like
suing-
Halo suing Call of Duty because Halo had like the link play. They had like they had
Yeah.
the different LAN plays way before
They
Xbox
had the
Live was even a
monetary.
thing.
They said like this franchise
And then,
made
but
this
then
amount of
Call of
money
Duty
doing it
takes
this way.
off as the biggest online game,
Right.
and then Halo
and
would
they
be
go,
like,
whoa, hold on,
That-
you can't like have first-person shooter battles amongst
it's
12
like-
players.
You can't patent a rectangle.
It's like Chevrolet suing Ford or Ford suing Chevrolet because hey, I made the automotive vehicle. You can't do that.
I believe in that. They all stole it from aliens that crashed in Roswell. Anyways.
It's this.
The only thing I can think of is if there's some like technical particular trick that allowed PUBG to have 100 players into a single match, lag free.
Interesting.
Because if that was the case, because that's always been like the big question for me, which is why didn't Halo allow 100 people in? Why didn't
Server
Call of
limitations.
Duty allow 100 people in?
Yeah, obviously you're right. PlayerUnknown's definitely got something figured out.
So
When how they
if
allowed 100
Fortnite took that proprietary code or server setup or some kind of communication thing and then just copied them really quickly,
Yeah.
that's the only way I can foresee something like that happening.
He's on it. You're right. I think that is his grounds for a lawsuit. If that's
Yeah.
exactly where it is, who knows?
It's kind of like with Apple's swipe to unlock, right? And they just recently won that lawsuit over Samsung. Yeah. Samsung came out, they came out with their phone, had the exact same thing,
Yeah, interesting.
and they just
Very
lost.
interesting.
You know, something as simple as that. And that was a design patent.
All right. So Asher has uncovered how the lawsuit works.
So are you talking about what the lawsuit is in court right now?
Well, I don't know because I haven't actually read this article, so I'm like everybody else commenting without actually reading.
Oh,
but
Exactly.
Oh.
Well, speaking of swiping, Apple and
Hmm.
their swiping. What if it was way easier to swipe? What if it was,
Invention of the year.
Invention of the
Please go
year.
to this Kickstarter.
as you guys know,
Chase.
I'm a hardcore Tinder user.
Of course,
Sometimes I
And
break-
Grindr.
and Grinder.
But-
I keep it even, and my fingers almost break on a daily basis trying to swipe through all these hoes. And what do you call a male hoe?
for those that haven't been indoctrinated, what do you call a hoe?
A
A
male
male
hoe.
hoe.
Oh, a male hoe? A jigaho?
A jig-
What is a male hoe?
a jigaho. I like it.
A playa?
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. There's differences.
Anyway, there's a new device
New device.
that allows
Revolutionary?
you.
Do you think?
It's revolutionary?
Do you think they could have come up with this in a socialist country? Or is this purely capitalism that can invent something so clever?
Only a socialist company that had a capitalistic monetary overlay to its system.
Right, but they also nationalized the public works.
What is
and
what is happening behind us? I don't.
Oh, I'm sure it's gonna get to something relevant.
Is the
I'm
audio
sure Chase,
playing over?
I'm sure Chase wouldn't lead us astray.
You guys have not seen this commercial?
No. Is this for Tinder? A commercial for Tinder?
Tinder has commercials?
You were just talking about this, so I thought it was one of the features that I thought you were talking about.
Swiping right?
Another feature. Oh, this is the extended version.
For our audio
It's kinda
listeners,
like-
I don't even know what's going on right now.
So we're watching a commercial with explosions.
Swipe right.
Oh, it's unlocked. It's face unlock.
Face up. Okay. All right.
Get the commercial.
Cool. All right. Cool.
There we go. It's terrible.
Our producer, 5 minutes
Apple's
late. The references
losing.
as always.
Apple is really losing its ad game. Like, well, none of us understood that until the end. Like, oh yeah, Face ID. I think.
Yeah, that's a rough commercial.
Huh.
That was pretty bad.
So,
No,
what
go to
about
the-
this invention? This invention we're talking about.
So it's an
about the
amazing
swipe
invention right now
invention.
going on. So if you don't know, Tinder is an app where you sign up with people. If you like them, you swipe right. If you don't like them, you swipe left. Right.
Right.
So while guys use this,
Right,
obviously,
left, no.
is swipe right on everything.
Yeah, that's exactly. And then if they message you and you're like, whoa, never mind.
Right. Right.
Then you
It's a
swipe.
numbers game, right?
Yeah.
Dating is a numbers game.
I remember the first time somebody explained that to me, and I was like, because I hadn't been on it, and still not, but I said, I don't get it. Why would you, if you're trying to hook up with somebody, why would you not swipe right? And then,
Talking to your mic.
and then he said, and then Zaid said, why right? Why would you swipe right? Or why not would you
Why
swipe right?
would you not?
And I said, right. And I said, but wait, this whole app is based on swiping left or right, but no one's ever swiping left? And he said, right. And I was
Right.
like, is this some sort of... is this some sort of Groucho Marx thing that's going on now? It's so weird to me. Why would you ever swipe? Do people say no? Because it seems to me like if you're single...
He's on Twitter.
No, I've never been on Tinder.
Do you not? You don't understand the rules. Once you're matched, it's an obligation. You can't back
Yeah,
out of it.
you have to
What do
go
you
on a
mean?
date with them.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You're legally
You're
binding.
legally
Legally
bound.
bound.
So
Will you please show this video behind us? That would be helpful.
we have this swiping right
So yeah,
invention.
there's a machine. There's a machine
I don't think
that
Jason-
will
there it is.
take
There it
it.
is, right
It
there.
plugs right into the ports on the
Lightning
bottom of your
port,
phone.
right?
Right?
It's powered exactly.
Plugs
the
right
USB-C
in,
port.
and
We're
then
not
just like a
judging.
little fan. It's like a little fan,
So-
but like with a little finger on it that just
Capacitive touch
swipes.
sensors. So have you seen those fans that plug into lightning ports and they spin really fast? It's a modified one of those.
Yeah, essentially.
And
right?
Swiping
it
right onto
literally, he took the cap off of it.
So we can swipe right on everybody.
They timed it right.
I need this for my Bumble, for Tinder, for Twitter,
You
for
can clean out your
Grindr, for
inbox
everything.
with this.
To be honest, let's
You
be.
can clean out your inbox.
Oh,
Delete,
totally.
delete,
Actually, yeah, that's a great
delete,
idea.
Delete.
Yeah, it would just long swipe on everything. That'd
Or
be
reply,
awesome.
reply.
So here, the true honesty about
How much
this
would you
is
pay for
that
This
they
is
could.
a joke, right?
I wish
this
No,
Tinder-
this is a
real.
Kickstarter. No, this is a real company.
Yeah, Tinder
This is
shouldn't
Kickstarter.
even allow swiping right for men, swiping left or right. They should just automatically
Let the women choose.
every guy is right. That's how every other date site is. Every guy has to make the first move. They've done studies on that, and 98% of all interactions are men to women. 98% start that way, and then it's all up to
Where
the
are your
women.
sources?
I will. We covered it on this damn show, or on the previous iteration of this show.
Hello.
Kyle takes the phone call live.
Welcome to.
Yes.
Here's my only thought on this thing.
Yeah.
You get through your first time with a whole bunch of people. How many times do you really need to continue to swipe after about a week of the app? You get random people now and then, but here in Billings, Montana, that finger works one time.
Can't-
Los Angeles or somewhere else, it may work different, but
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's very true. I mean, you should just automatically be paired with every woman, and every
Swinder-
woman can just go through
We
you.
got an update. We have an update from Tinder corporate.
Oh, Tinder corporates are
It
calling.
says
They called.
you only get so many right swipes free now, and you have to pay for swipes.
Shut the fuck up!
It's not free.
Wow,
So this guy is.
that's how they
So
monetize
the
it.
Kickstarter is
Tinder
already
just-
obsolete.
So he just called you, right? Wow.
This-
Twitter CEO right here.
unless you have Tinder Plus, and then you can get this thing. But this thing is only
Okay.
compatible with the new Tinder Plus.
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Straight from corporate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye corporate.
That's incredible.
Do you
The
think it
reach
was-
of this
do you think it was
show has
unprofessional
no
that I was
bounds.
taking a phone call?
No.
My Google AI knew it was important enough to let the
I would
call
really
through.
like for someone to define professionalism for this show, whatever that would be.
hey, you watch ESPN, you watch any news shows with that panels and stuff, they all got their phones sitting around, and they're all checking
Yeah.
texts,
Joe
tweets.
Scarborough every morning, MSNBC.
That's what we watched the other night. Yes.
Moving on.
Morning Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's some funny phone news.
Dude, what
Any
else do
other-
we have to cover? We're running long tonight.
That's it.
That's
oh,
it.
No, Bitcoin guy. One
The
last
Bitcoin
story.
guy. Okay, last story.
So this guy always comes up. I always reference him, and I always think I might be expanding the story further than actually it was. This is one case where the fish did not get bigger the more times I told this story. So this is the story of the guy who was a pizza delivery guy, and he paid for I can't remember if he was the pizza delivery guy, or if he was the guy who bought the pizza. But he was the pizza delivery guy who was able to accept Bitcoin at the time. He was the only way the guy could pay for the pizza. He got, what is the amount for 2 pizzas? He got 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas. I always assumed it was like 2 Bitcoins. I had been telling people it was maybe 100 Bitcoins, and I'm pretty sure I might have even exaggerated with 1,000. I did not think it was more.
10,000?
This gentleman paid $10,000 for 2 pizzas.
$10,000 or 10,000 bitcoins?
10,000 Bitcoin.
At one point in time, worth $10 million.
Even today, even if those were worth 5,000, I think it bottomed out today.
It's worth 80 million today.
Huh.
Since 10,000 Bitcoin is worth around 80 million.
This is
That's unreal.
A phenomenal story that you should keep in the back memory banks as a referenceable point, because this is hell of information.
That's one of the scariest things ever. I remember when
Isn't this crazy?
when I first heard about Bitcoin, it had come out immediately, like it just had launched, and I went, "Well, that's interesting. It definitely won't take off. It definitely won't be worth anything." Like at that point in time, I could have gotten so many Bitcoins.
I'm sure all of us here are sitting on that. Wow,
Yeah.
we could be rich
Yeah.
because we all heard about it back
I
then.
remember the very first week when it was like 3 days old, going, "Oh, well, I can get myself Bitcoins. Like, why would I do that? It's not going to go anywhere." And you sit back and you wait and you wait and you watch it. Well, now it's worth $50 a Bitcoin. You're like, "Oh, wow, okay, $50 a Bitcoin. Well, there's how many of them? $20,000. $20,000 a Bitcoin."
Yeah.
Where was I? Where was I 5 years ago? Where was I?
20,000 times 10,000 is what?
20,000 times 10,000. You add the zeros.
An
I can't remember.
unimaginable.
I've had too much
number.
sips in software.
20 million?
Something like that. I'm not gonna answer.
20,000 times 10,000? 200 million.
That pizza at one point, because Bitcoin hit 20 grand of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Am I right on that or somewhere in
It
there?
was like 19,000, but it was right there.
At one point, them two pizzas were worth $200 million.
Yeah.
So my first Bitcoin transaction on this Bitcoin wallet was in 2014. I bought one Bitcoin for $690.76 on March 10th, 2014. That was the first time I bought it on Coinbase. I had bought one before, and then we printed it out on a piece of paper as kind of a
You
joke.
printed it out?
Yes, we all did. We thought it was funny, and we didn't know how that worked. But yes,
We could have all been very successful, is the moral of this story.
I still have them. I think you're crazy not to. I think it's gonna. This account, yeah. I think you're crazy not to. To assume it bottomed out is to not have long term. This has happened so many times. It's gonna go back up.
Suicide, I've been thinking. I sit alone in my forecorner.
Oh, if you were the guy, you're saying if you were the guy who paid 10,000 bitcoins for two pizzas, you would commit suicide?
$200 million. Two pizzas for $200 million.
Right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't try to get in the Guinness Book of World
I would
Records?
have bought some big
I would
ass
try to-
house in
I
LA,
would
bought a
try
few
to get in the
hookers, and be
Guinness-
dead within a week.
I
That's
would
what
try to
would
get
happen
the
with me and
book of
$200 million.
Guinness Book of World Records.
What?
For paying the most for pizza. No one's ever gonna pay more for pizza. You'd have the world's most expensive meal.
There you go. Well, I think that about does it for episode 100 of our
Yes, it
former
does.
show, episode 1 of Sips and Software.
Please take us out with the Ghetto Boys. For all of you on the audio edition, I'm Kyle,
I'm Asher.
I'm Patrick.
and he's Chase.
Catch us next Tuesday. Bye.